Welcome back to the Brohalla Gaming Channel, where the focus is on gaming, fun, and friends. Uh, I'm Scott, here with Jason and Will. We are here to pretty much recap Adepticon 2024. We are a week out from the final day that we had here in Schaumburg, Illinois, and we kind of just wanted to recap and talk specifically about our experiences, some of the cool things we saw, and just the overall experience of it.
What a blast it was!
Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, it was. It was an Adepticon.
I got the gift of the con crud, so there was that. But it gave the con gave more than I got, more than what I got. So
I avoided the con crud, but a little bit more on some of my misgivings and experiences.
You had a few misgivings, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely an Adepticon to never forget. as much as some of us might want to, but still a heck of a lot of fun. And we'll get into the specifically, the way the Chaos Gods kind of, I would say, smiled upon us, but they're kind of smiling upon us is not always what we'd like to see. So Adepticon starts on Wednesday, specifically when we start in Schaumburg, Illinois, at the Renaissance. It's at the main hotel and the main convention center is at the Renaissance in Schaumburg, Illinois. There's a second satellite area for some of the other games because we really truly have outgrown that area there at the Hyatt, also in Schaumburg. It's maybe 2 miles away, I think, with a shuttle going back and forth between the two. We Adepticon have been at the Schaumburg Renaissance since 2015. Previously, we were at the Westin in, I believe that is Lombard, Illinois. So we're in the western suburbs of Chicago. So Wednesday starts with a lot of the build-in and setting up the tables for all of the different gaming events. This is very specifically a tabletop miniatures focused event. There is a little bit of board games. We actually do have a board game library there and a lot of other things. But it is a super focus on tabletop miniatures gaming, which is what the three of us plus Matt and everybody else kind of in our group, and our friend Steven and a bunch of other folks really truly focus on is tabletop gaming. This was actually the 20th Adepticon officially, but it has been around for 22 years because unfortunately Papa Nurgle did win in 2020 and 2021 due to the pandemic. There was no actual Adepticon, so it's 22 years in existence, but this was the actual 20th event that occurred. So with Wednesday, like I said, the organizers for each of the different gaming systems, anywhere from Warhammer 40,000 to Warhammer Fantasy: The Old World, Age of Sigmar, Infinity, plus a whole, I know I'm going to be missing some, and it's just what I'm coming off with at the top of my head, plus a whole bunch of historical things like, Sharp Practice, Bolt Action, Flames of War,
Man.
Command Saga,
and all of
a whole slew of stuff.
Lord of the Rings, all that stuff.
BattleTech, Malifaux, pretty much, anything that has a
it's on a table and has a mini. It's there.
Yeah, that is true. You'll probably find it there. If you do want to see a whole lot more about all the different items that are available and shown, you can find that on Adepticon.org. That is the main actual website for Adepticon. And I know I'm talking in the first person, the we, because I've been volunteering at Adepticon since 2009. So you'll hear me say we quite a bit when I'm referring to Adepticon, since I've been volunteering for so long. It's ingrained.
You're part of it, man.
At this point.
Get one of those fun red staff shirts.
Dude,
you're one of them.
I don't get a red staff.
I've got a couple of them, and I may or may not have outgrown one or two of them already. That whole aging process. So Wednesday, I started off by getting to the Renaissance, and I know it's not officially when Adepticon starts. It's when it starts for most folks. The actual true Adepticon staff, like they're the ones that are truly hands-on, like Hank and Matthias and Dustin and Abigail and Tim and a whole slew of other people. There's just, again, folks off the top of my head. They get in probably on Monday and really truly start setting up the entire space, because we truly take over not only both hotels but also the entire Renaissance convention area. We do have a vendor hall in the middle section of the convention center, so I helped Corvus Belli and Warsenal. So it was Jay and Sarah from Warsenal and Hupu, who flew in from Spain from Corvus Belli specifically, and James Chavot, friend of the everybody I just mentioned, friend of the show. We set up the Corvus Belli Warsenal. They've done a joint booth there for many years. So I assisted with them setting that up. It looked great this year with all the new stuff coming out. Torchlight Brigade for O12, Warcrow demos. So for a lot of folks, it was the first time playing Warcrow, the war game specifically, as opposed to Warcrow Adventures, which is the dungeon crawler that they launched on Kickstarter. A little bit more about that coming up. So I specifically helped set that up. Then, with the help of a lot of the folks from the community that were arriving for Infinity, we set up 30 different individual Infinity tables in the ballroom that we were going to be running all of our events in. So we got those set up. We left 2 open spaces. We had enough space for 32 tables. The Thursday events, we have 2 that actually don't truly require Infinity tables, with the normal terrain. Specifically, one of them was Defiance, the board game set in the Infinity universe that Corvus Belli kickstarted. I think it was late 2019, if I remember correctly. Charles Badger, who's been coming up and playing and volunteering at Adepticon for several years now, at least since I've been part of the Infinity community. He likes to run the Defiance little narrative for a half day on Thursday, so we left that room for him. And most of the time, like I said, it was after the setup. We had all the folks and all that extended gaming family that we see, if we're lucky, more than once a year, but many of them we only see this one time a year. So, that whole homecoming of sorts and gathering with everybody was how I spent.
Isn't it awesome when it happens?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's my favorite part.
It's probably one of the best feelings, like getting there, like, oh, there's all these people that I know and maybe chit chat with over the year, but like seeing them in person, sitting down here, having a small conversation. Miss it.
Oh, absolutely. It's like some of my closest friends now are because of Adepticon and this community, and the way we literally is a homecoming.
Even if we don't play the same games anymore.
Exactly. Like, I see Rob Baker, I think, one time a year, and it's at Adepticon.
Pretty much.
And it's talk to him multiple times per week, sometimes multiple times for the same day between Adepticons. But it's just like coming right back home, and seeing everybody, even the folks from other game systems, like you said, Jason, the other game systems that I don't play anymore, or maybe they've moved on, but it's still the same welcome, the same catching up, the same everything, which is truly, for me, one of the best parts of the community.
Absolutely.
The other really fun part about Wednesdays is that's when most folks, will pick up their badge, their entry badge, as well as their swag bag, which there's different levels this year for the badges. In years past, Adepticon had, I think, 3 levels. There was the main level, which is just a badge. You don't need a badge to actually go in and just enjoy the convention. However, if you're going to be participating in any of the events, whether it's entering a painting contest or doing a demos at a vendor booth, that you don't need a badge for that. But if you're going to be doing like an offset demo, like in a gaming area, you do need a badge for that. So, and unfortunately, I forget how much those are. I think it's relatively cheap, $20-$25, something like that. Previous years, like I said, they had then a swag bag, which is a lot of the sponsors, the game company sponsors, will donate items to be put into that swag bag to be given out to the first, whatever X number of folks were to purchase that level of badge and swag. And then there was also a very important gamer, a VIG badge, where you had to actually enter into a lottery, and I think it was limited to like 200 individuals. If your registration number got picked, you then had to pay the extra money to get a whole host of other extra swag. But what Adepticon has done starting this year is they actually did away with those 2-tiered levels of swag because there was always so many people that tried to register for the VIG but just never got picked in the lottery. So they kind of took the 2 swag levels and made the swag this year like in between the 2. And I think it was 125, I think, was the price of the swag bag plus the badge to get you into any of the events. And there was a lot of stuff. I do have a small list here. Some of the biggest things was Clash of Steel, which is a tank game. There was 2 different boxes, so you had to choose if you wanted. I think it was Americans and Russians, or
and then it was
Germans,
and
Brits. I think, yeah. And then everybody got. I think it was a Marvel Crisis Protocol. Like 2
yeah. So
box.
it was either the Bishop box or the Kitty Pryde box.
Yeah, Kitty Pryde and Iceman and Bishop and
Nightcrawler.
Thank you.
So you either got one or the other.
Let's see. And then there was a Star Wars Shatterpoint box in there. I think I got the.
It was between a couple 2. Plo Koon and Padawan Ahsoka. One of them. And
okay. I didn't see the Padawan Ahsoka. That's cool. So of course, as everybody's going through their swag bags, what'd you get? Asking all their friends and looking for trades. I actually saw one guy at one point with, he had a backpack on, one of the boxes he wanted to trade put in front of him, being held on by the straps, with a sign posted on it. It said, "We'll trade for," and then whatever he was looking for instead. Just wandering around the vendor hall the whole time.
That's awesome. I think I remember seeing that guy too, now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, I don't remember which day I saw him, but yeah, he was definitely walking around with that right in front of him, which was fun. I kind of like the fact that there's that variety. So not everybody has got the same thing. We all got a Games Workshop box, whether it was 40K Combat Patrol or Age of Sigmar Vanguard. So everybody had some flavor of a larger Games Workshop box. There were some of the BattleTech salvage boxes, so the blind pull mechs out of there. I know this is a small item, but Artis Opus put in one of their smaller dry brushes into the swag bags, but you also had a coupon. Of course, coupon was for 20% off to buy the rest of their dry brush set. And of course, me being my typical self didn't look through the rest of my swag bag until this past Tuesday. Yeah. So none of the coupons were usable by me.
I likely already have the dry brush set, so I wasn't butthurt about it.
Exactly. Same here, but I'm still going to put that dry brush to use. Some folks got a Fallout box. There was a small War Machine box as well. 1 or 2 Reaper miniatures. And then the usual Adepticon coaster. There was, actually I happen to have, they also put in some Cuttlefish. Was this? Yeah, Cuttlefish Colors, which is a new Adepticon paint line with Creature Caster. And like I said, some of the extra coupon stickers and little things like that. I don't know if there's anything you get.
Did you get the Adventure Cat mini too? You have one of those?
I don't think I did.
I didn't get the Fallout box, but there's a cat RPG that was on the second floor that I know about because my wife bought the rule set.
Oh, nice. No, I didn't see that.
So I will be DMing a cat adventure RPG. All of us, and there was a little there, and had some good meaning, gorgeous stuff. So
I have a question: is it an RPG for cats, or you are playing as a cat?
You are playing as a cat, so it's Dungeons and Dragons with cats. It's essentially what it is. Yeah. So I have the rule set, and that's what we're doing. My wife has decided.
You'll have to let us know how that goes.
Yeah, it'll be a thing.
All right, then let's see. After all that, with the going through the lines, and I'm lucky enough to be able to stay at my house because that's how close Adepticon is for me. It's a maybe 20-minute drive, so I was able to come home, sleep in my own bed, which was fantastic. And then Thursday. You guys want to start Thursday, or you want me to start Thursday?
Yeah, I can roll. By Thursday was my only tournament. I played the MCP Challenger event, the only one I signed up for. Every year I'm kind of like, oh man, I should sign up for more, but after the weekend, I'm glad I only did one tournament. Went pretty good for me. I improved on my record from last year. I was 1-3 last year. I was 2-2 this year, and I very easily could have been 3-1. I think there was 90 or 96 that signed up for the Challenger. So that was up from last year, if I recall. Great experience. I will say the MCP solid, especially with our Discord community. It's finally put faces. Awesome. So we started off running a little late. I think AMG's got a little bit of work to do when it comes to going on.
AMG Atomic Mass Games.
Yeah, so they're the ones. So they actually organized. They took the tournament organization, from what I was told, from like they're actually
okay.
So I'm guessing there was a learning curve. That's we were started at 8:30. We didn't 20 hour behind. Luckily for me, that wasn't the Challenger event was bad, but I heard the timeline of it until 10:30 at night. It started at 8 in the morning.
Oh my!
New format. Anybody who plays MCP knows the timeline event was a new format. Lists, all independent, different characters. Sorry, 3 different. You can't duplicate characters. You can't duplicate text cards. So I heard that was a long day. But Challenger event was awesome. I started off my first game versus a gentleman named Jeremiah England, who I found out is a pretty good player. Other people knew him. I did not know him. I took X-Force, which, as if anybody knows good old MCP, X-Force did not start off too hot until the recent errata. There's my army. So Cable is now playable. So I went full go. I took Bishop. That's my roster of 10. So I started off versus Avengers. I got walloped that game. Classic. My weak point in games is usually turn 0 plays, and I had a bad turn 0 play. I took Bishop when I shouldn't have. I lost that game mightily, but I didn't get tilted. Like, I'm gonna play this out, have a good time the rest of the day. So my next game I played a gentleman named Brock Evans. He brought Asgard, which was really awesome because I haven't played against Asgard a whole lot, and they've gotten some recent erratas as well, so they're pretty they're a lot stronger. I ended up winning that game 17-12. And then my next game was versus Sebastian Sonhalter, who brought Spider Foes. And that was a pretty close game. I won that one 18-4. So I was feeling pretty good. I'm like, all right, I really wanted to get 3-1. That was kind of my goal. I ended up playing a gentleman named Jacob Evans, who is actually my second opponent's brother. I found out after the fact. And he brought a Brotherhood Mystique list with Hulk, and I chickened out and ignored Hulk and out of, and that was to my eyes. I X4 very good killy list and has no problem with Hulk. If I'd have just focused Hulk and killed him, I probably would have won that match. But overall, it was fun. I wasn't as exhausted as I thought I would be. One of our locals, Michael Jansen, made top 8 cut from Geek City Games. Nice. So it was really awesome to see that. He played Web Warriors. All right, hey, we restarted a little bit because picking up our other Brohalla, Mr. Matt, is at work. Shh, don't tell.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt. So,
hi, everybody.
MCP was awesome. It was a good day. I know Atomic Mass Games had huge successes with all of their titles, and they had a ton of players, a ton of tournaments, and it sounded like they went well. I can't say I'm sad about it because I really enjoy MCP game right now.
I think I saw as I was walking through, the Atomic Mass Games area in the in the convention center. I think I saw Legion, Marvel Crisis Protocol, and Shatterpoint. I think was it Armada?
X-Wing was there too.
No, it had X-Wing. Armada was actually over
Armada
at
was at the Hyatt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Armada got the boot. That's also that's not really being ordered right
honestly.
now.
I didn't even see it over at the Hyatt.
I didn't either. I think it was downstairs.
No, I went downstairs. I didn't see it down there either.
I don't know.
Like a day.
It could have been.
It might have been.
Yeah, we'd have to look. But again, it kind of goes back to the fact that Adepticon has definitely outgrown this.
Yeah, I mean, Atomic Mass Games outgrown. I mean, it's the one title that's going to go. It's not dead per se yet, but it's also not being active. The other ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely a game that's on the. It's the outsee on the tournament. But I do appreciate being right next to the vendor hall because it's really easy when that vendor hall opens the first day. Just mosey on in the back way.
Yep.
Moser.
I miss Infinity being there, but is what it is.
Yeah. For those who have never attended, the layout in the actual convention hall, it's separated into 3 different sections. Right down the middle is the vendor hall. It's easy enough to put the air walls up on either side, lock the doors, everything's secure when the vendor hall isn't open. On the north side of the hall is, this year, it's all the Atomic Mass Games stuff that we just talked about. And the south side of the hall has historically been mainly Games Workshop, 40K, and other things like that. I didn't have a chance to wander through there too much this year, but it felt like there was a bit more of a mix. Like there was some Relic Blade tables up front, Bushido, along with 40K and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we can go right into that if you want to.
That because Thursday I didn't play in any events. I spent the day wandering the whole convention. I had a new guy that had never been at all. It was his first time. So I took him around and showed him everything. And I'm going to be honest, I was surprised because typically GW is all in like, this is GW. Every place that I went had some sort of GW event going on in that place. They seemed like they were really spread everywhere this year, not central. And that side definitely had a lot of random stuff this year that I don't recognize.
Okay. Yeah, we can take a look if anybody has questions about specifically what was in there, because I have access to the maps.
Mm-hmm. Feel free to add comments in the chat. Get this video posted.
Yeah, please, absolutely. Mm-hmm. If you have any questions, we will answer the best of our ability. If not, we'll ask Matt to make something up. So Matt, most of your day was you and Steven, I think, wandering around having fun and kind of taking a look at. Did you stay just at the Renaissance on Thursday?
We did. We just stayed at the Renaissance on Thursday because there's so much to see. If you've never been, that's what it's worth it just to see that stuff. I took them all around the AMG area. We went through the vendor hall. We went through that other area. We went through the hall where the Infinity and Blood and Plunder and all of that was. We went upstairs and went through those rooms that were upstairs that have stuff going on. And I just showed them how there's everywhere you go, there's games going on. And what's cool about the event is there's games being played that you have probably never heard of, and you'll see them there and be like, "What is that? I want to play that." So
yes, and not just that. There's one thing I want to add. I'm hoping you took them over to the hobby section because it's not just all about gaming and tournaments and vendor halls. There's
I
also
actually
this
missed
massive focus.
I forgot to take him down the hallway to the.
Oh,
I did.
Okay.
I forgot to.
I completely forgot.
Yeah. We'll have to do that next year.
Yeah, because isn't that closer to the hotel?
It's basically right under the front escalators.
Yeah. So to kind of explain a little bit more on, we've got the convention center portion that connects directly to the actual Renaissance Hotel. And so the Infinity portion, Blood and Plunder, the board game library, Age of Sigmar, Old Worlds, BattleTech, all of that is actually in the ballroom to the hotel itself. But as you move further towards the actual elevators to get to the hotel rooms, there's a whole bunch of different meeting areas, and that's where a lot of the hobby seminars are. And there's hobby seminars from learning how to airbrush, how to do specific object source lighting, how to do blending, how to do, I mean, you name it, there's a seminar for it if that's what your focus is. If you want to learn how to
Isn't that also where there's a? Is that also where Fort
Fort Wapple is? Yeah,
that is absolutely where Fort
Wapple is. And
Wapple is.
again, for people that have never gone, that's a group of people. They're just amazing, and they're sitting down there. They're hobbying, they're painting, they're doing all that. And honestly, if you went down there and were struggling with something, those people would. This is how you do that. This is what you do. You know, so yeah, it's quite the event.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's called Fort Wapple because it's named after Jim and Kathy Wapple, who have been part of the Adepticon family for I couldn't even tell you how many years since at least I've been attending. They've been a part of it. It's been called Fort Wapple for many years, and this year was definitely bittersweet because Kathy did lose her battle with cancer last year. So it was good to see Jim back in, mingling with everybody and getting to spend time with him again in that setting. So it was really good just to kind of catch up with him and with everybody else. And he had a whole bunch of pieces on display. But Matt, to like kind of your point, they actually have a whole slew of tables set up there with hobby lights, paint racks everywhere. All you need to do is bring the miniatures you want to paint and some brushes. Sit down and just start painting. It never closes. Someone is always there from Wednesday night through the time we close on Sunday. Someone is always sitting there painting and hobbying.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell
awesome.
us about your day. And Will can kind of jump in too because I think he was.
He was.
Were you not? Thursday? I didn't see these guys on Thursday.
So my Adepticon started on Wednesday, and me and my sister, Sarah, who people in the Diddy community will remember, it was her first time back since 2018, one of those 2 years.
18 was the team
tournament. And kind of life it caught up with all of us, and she was her first turn back, and it was a really good thing we try to do with siblings and just kind of keep up with each other. We drove out Wednesday, kind of got in, and Thursday was just our day to kind of, like Matt, just kind of roam around, see everything.
I'm the only idiot who plays in the tournament.
Just
no, because I usually would.
But see people you haven't seen. That's kind of what Thursday was for the most part for me. And then Scott will elaborate on his day and my day. We were actually fortunate enough to be staying with Scott, and that will come in later here. You'll see the fortunate side of that. But yeah, my Thursday was pretty relaxed. Just kind of wander around, see what's up there, catch up with people. My con didn't really. Let's let Scott get into it. Scott likes to don the.
I was there for that.
The main character syndrome, and like everything happens to me.
I was hoping it wouldn't. Unfortunately, like I said, the Chaos Gods I mentioned earlier decided to smile upon us in their favor, not in mine. First thing Thursday morning, before the very first Infinity event. So I'm kind of like the head organizer for the event. Just making sure that the guys have what they need, and I work with a con and stuff like that. So there's a whole bunch of other guys that volunteer and really truly run some amazing events. I just help make sure they have what they need while I run one event kind of at the end of the Adepticon weekend as well. But this was about an hour before the first event on Thursday started, which was the great narrative run by Chad Bussell and
James Pittman.
James Pittman. So that's Indianapolis and Florida. So Indianapolis and Orlando, respectively. There, they came up with this awesome Sforza's Day Off, based on Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Awesome, fun narrative. But I was hauling in stuff from my car since, like I said, I'm able to stay at home, bringing things in. I literally kneeled down to get something off the cart because I learned several years ago, don't try to slap everything in, actually get a wheeled cart. I didn't even have a chance to try to lift anything. As soon as my knee hit the floor, unfortunately, Fates decided that I was going to flip a disc in my lower back right then and there. Matt saw it. He was right behind me. It was probably the most innocent single anything, right?
Yeah, and it was one of those times where I'm like, oh crap, because it was, you instantly knew, like I instantly knew that you know it was probably worse than you thought it was, just because you did literally nothing and then that amount of pain.
Yeah, it felt like I was stabbed in the small of my back and someone twisted the knife. So the whole rest of the day for me was spent still trying to make sure everybody had everything, like the prize support and the medals and all that stuff. And again, I could not have, just making sure we're there. Everybody has what they need, so the volunteers are having what they need. Everybody who's playing is having a good time. A whole bunch of all that, and thankfully, not only the volunteers but all the players, everybody in the community, absolutely saw what had happened and pitched in and helped immensely to make sure that, like, stupid me would drop something. It's like, someone please help.
Help!
I literally couldn't.
Help!
I couldn't do
No, and
anything.
the number of us that kept saying, Scott, sit down, let us do it.
Or, Scott, do we need to take you somewhere? No. I'm fine.
I might be a little stubborn when it comes to that, but yeah, that's so. at the I know exactly. At the top of this, I did mention the Chaos Gods entering into play. That was the beginning of it, and that's not even the end of it.
Nope.
The funny thing is on Wednesday morning, as I was getting ready to go, I sneezed and pulled like all the muscles in my back. And I thought I was going to be the one that was in the worst shape at the Adepticon. And then Scott did that, and I'm like, way to one up me, man.
Here, hold my malort. Hold on.
Hold my malort.
And it's just hilarious because last year, like, what was it, 2 weeks before Adepticon, I coughed and cracked a rib. So it's like, so Jason, you're due next year.
I'm good.
Your back's going out next year.
That's why I'm bringing Steven again.
That's why we had to bring Steven back next year, because then they got a 50-50 chance of it being one of them and not one of them.
Should be interesting.
How about just none of us get hurt next year? That'd be a good start.
Yes, please. But as far as the rest of Thursday went, the injury aside, highlights were the fact that the narrative event Defiance, Sean Badeau, who he moved up here to Chicago, he was one of the Warcrows, Infinity Warcrows. I think it was, 4 years ago now, somewhere in there. Sean, I apologize if I don't remember exactly when it was. He ran 2 different flights of Tag Deathmatch, which is something we've been running for several years now. It's not Tag Raid, which is the actual board game that Corvus Belli came out with. It's a different thing. I think one of the other shows came up with the rules. We've been running it for a bunch of years.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was a homebrew thing that you guys came up with.
I'm not sure if it was homebrew. I don't actually know the beginnings of it, but I think it was actually a different group published it, and we've just taken it and used it. I mean, I just officially don't know who did it.
They've done it at every big Infinity event I've been at now. It's just a staple. It's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It's silly fun.
And then we also that evening had the seminar. So this is something we definitely changed this year. Normally we have the Corvus Belli seminar in the middle of Friday, and it kind of interrupts the team event. And we wanted to change that this year. We really wanted to make sure we weren't interrupting a tournament, because once you get into the flow of a tournament and you stop it for such a big thing as an hour-long seminar plus some time for lunch, it really it throws people off their game. You're not in that mindset. You got to kind of warm back up after that big break. So we really truly wanted to push this to a time that wouldn't interrupt any of the events. So for the very first time, we actually had the Corvus Belli seminar at night, and we started that shortly after, like right as the vendor hall was closing.
What was it? Oh, I thought it was at 7.
Nope, it was at 6. I was late.
No, 6. Yeah, you're right. Because Moser was late getting there because he was in his event.
Exactly, but we still had a really good turnout. Hoopu was fantastic.
She was great.
Yeah,
She's great.
She's very energetic, highly enthusiastic. For those who don't know, she is the brand ambassador and one of the game designers of Warcrow, the war game, as well as Warcrow Adventures. So she's highly invested into it, knows a lot about it, super enthusiastic. We do have an interview I did with her several months ago. It is on the channel here, so hopefully if you haven't caught it before, please go check it out. Lots of good questions and just lots of fun interaction with her in that as well. She gave, like I said, a really good seminar, and then we also had a video recorded one from Carlos Bostria, because he's normally at Adepticon, but now with the two different games, Corvus Belli seems like they're going to want to, send one only to the different specific conventions and events and things like that.
Yeah, we can't
we
hog
did have
everybody.
A recorded one. I'm sorry, Will.
Yeah.
So we can't hog everybody.
As much fun as it is, as much fun as it is for us to to welcome our Spanish friends over here into Illinois, I understand from a financial standpoint for the company, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we had that that dual Hoopu live, as well as Bostria recorded, as well as a really good Q&A session. So that was, and then as soon as that was wrapped up, Clay went downstairs to start I thought it was a great idea of an event that he's running. He called it 3-night fight. It was a 3-round Infinity ITS event, 400 points, but each round was over 3 consecutive nights. So Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, with all awards being given on Saturday night. You played one game and then you were done. So I liked that it allowed folks that if they were doing a different system, or they were doing all seminars during the day or things like that, there was still something that they could do at night, and still be engaged and not have to play a whole bunch during the day if they wanted to spread it out. There were some people, I think, that did play in like everything. I'm considering an Iron Man recognition next year if there's somebody who literally plays.
Oh, that's a great idea. I think that's
every
a good idea.
Infinity event. So
I think that'd be awesome.
They deserve something, because that's crazy.
Yeah, like a medal or something.
A shot of Malort, guys. Come on.
Oh, that's the toilet bowl.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that part. Okay, I think we're good with Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Friday. I'm just since I kind of finished up the Thursday, I'll roll into the Friday.
Sure. So let me take on Friday.
Please, please, Will.
So Friday morning, I wake up with a knock on the bedroom door, and it was like, "Hey, Will, yeah, Scott needs to go to the ER." Now Scott can take over, because that's how Friday began.
So, with the assistance of Will and Sarah, I got home, got the heating pad, got in bed Thursday night. Apparently, sleeping on the heating pad overnight made everything that much worse. I really could not walk. I dropped my phone at one point, and I think it took at least 8 minutes to pick it up off the floor. Just trying to figure out physics.
Which way am I going to roll to get there?
Right. How can I get down there? Because I couldn't. I couldn't find a way to get down there in any way. So that right there told me this is not something that's muscular. So then, because I couldn't really walk or like do anything, I'm like, okay, I need to stop being stubborn. So thankfully, Will drove me up to the ER. He didn't want to leave me, but I told him, no, you need to go run the event. I will call if I need someone to pick me up when this is all done. Sent him back, and I spent some time in the ER. And then I couldn't even tell you how long I was there because of the very fun medication they gave me to ease the pain and relax the muscles. So I think it was probably 2 hours or so.
Yeah, I think I got you there about 9-ish. a little bit. No, all right. We got you back at like 8:30. I think we had you back at the con, which that says everything right there. He was back at the con by like noon.
That sounds about right. Yeah, and the only reason these guys, because they're fantastic friends. I mean, these guys and everybody else in the community would even let me through the doors as if I agreed to sit in the hotel wheelchair that they had rented.
Yeah.
So,
Scott has nothing to fun to talk about on the day other than his pain.
No. Au contraire. I have a lot of fun stuff because the aforementioned amazing Rob Baker, anybody who has seen pictures of the X-Men theme I did, or Rob and I actually did for 2022 Infinity team event, he was the Professor X to my Cyclops. This time it was a role reversal. He pushed me everywhere in the wheelchair. So he was literally like whipping me around in the vendor hall, and we checked out a new airbrush from No Name Airbrush, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And got to hang out with folks at Corvus Belly. Like I actually got to, for once, see pieces of the vendor hall because Rob volunteered.
Run
like,
the event.
Let's go.
Yep.
That was the majority of mine, while Will and Sean ran the team event. So Will, why don't you pick up from there?
Yeah, so got back to the hotel from dropping off at the ER, and we already had people like lining up. So this is like 8:30ish. People already ready to check in. I didn't get her set up. We're just gonna kind of try to pick up the pieces. So normally we're supposed to be getting there earlier and getting all our stuff prepped. But I mean, hats off to Sean, who just kind of picked up and ran with it and soldiered on through that day. I mean, the team event is kind of really captures that spirit of Adepticon more so, in my personal opinion, than like some of like the more
traditional
events where the team is like Adepticon's known for their team in some way, shape, or form. 3-round ITS, 200 points.
No, non-ITS.
Sorry, non-ITS. A 3-round tournament. But like 200 points per person. 2 people play at 400 points versus 2 other people at 400 points. Kind of shenanigans just ensue because of lots of moving people there, and
the focus really is we try to push theme.
Yes,
theme and
definitely.
fun is what we try to push on that.
Sure.
You can probably kind of see off to the side over here 2 gentlemen, JR and Ross from the Orlando area down in Florida, dressed as popes. That was actually part of their theme and built into the storyline. They had a whole story between their army, and that's really what we try to push with events like this.
And you'll see guys in like they have custom printed team jerseys for the event and stuff like that. So I mean,
I just want to say this year was a year where, like, I've been in it in previous years. You have like 1 or 2, maybe 3 teams that'll wear like a costume, dress up, that sort of thing. This year there was a bunch of people that really got into it.
Yes, definitely. It's a lot more in years past. I've done the team tournament in at least the last 2 years. And just like, the event that I've signed up for to work, because it feels like it needs the most people. We had 76 people in total of all the teams.
I think that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot of people in a very small area, so you kind of need oversight on it. It was a really good deal of fun.
And to your point, Matt, there's usually, like you said, a couple handfuls, and there's always usually those same handful of teams that keep like that banner moving forward every year.
They one up it every year.
And I want to give a shout out specifically to Corey and David from the Team Pitt, who have year after year carried that torch and that banner and brought it to what it is here. Like Ethan and I made a little flame, a matchbook flame in 2018.
Yeah, you
2019, did. Corey and David took a gas can to that match and just brought it forward and brought it to be a torch and have carried it on, and it's great to see what this is becoming.
I mean, it's last year I was dressed as a nun and Jason was dressed as a priest for our team, and we thought, hey, this is gonna be like nobody's gonna be doing this, and we weren't even close to the best ones there. So it's a lot of fun.
It's really fun when people take, because there's the themed armies, and this year there were a couple really good themed armies there. There's one that actually stands out that we really didn't get to highlight a whole bunch because partner couldn't make it, and if it had been there, it really would have stood out. But then there's the guys who go all in on the armies are themed together. They're in a costume. The Pit Guys had a comic written about their diorama this year. So I mean,
weren't there wanted posters floating around of you like
those? That's the one that
was that part of it.
That was so there was this entire we saw one half of it, and it was an U.S. Ariadna, but everything was converted to have cowboy hats. It was this really good cowboy theme, and his partner couldn't make it, so the other half of the army wasn't there. And that's why it kind of got missed. But yeah, he did really miniature wanted posters of Scott and of Rob.
Oh, that's what that was.
And then the Team Alort, and that was all into this little display board they had going on. So if that other half been there, it would have been one of those oh, this is good, guys. So
that's too bad.
Yeah, I mean they were leper conversions.
Half a second, I am working on downloading it right now.
Oh my gosh!
And the wanted picture.
It was funny. I mean, I saw it and was like, "That is classic."
Because we had
there it is.
There they are.
There it is.
So I mean, the creativity that goes into that.
This is by Michael Say.
That's who it was.
Up in the Twin Cities in Minnesota.
But yeah, so that we ran into some technical difficulties in the score sheet just because we rushed in the beginning, so that kind of fought those cascading errors all day. But I mean, in the end, it's a non-scored tournament. It's just for fun, and we got to give out really good theme medals. Two of the ones that actually took home was it best appearance and best theme. Those both went on and got put in the armies on parade later in the week, which was great. Yeah, Team Alort. Just that creativity right there. That's all out, and it's hard to see from here. But if you go up and look at it, there's little bits hidden everywhere in there, and of the pieces, it's basically chopped up Warstall terrain. So it plays back in on the community on itself. So.
Yeah, and this was Brian Solomon and Chad Bussell.
Yes.
Bringing this gorgeous monstrosity to life. You're right. You're highlighting on it's just all those little things in here.
If you were to go in and look at that, all those armies, they're painted in the Jepson Malort colors, so it all matches.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just the in-joke in there. I mean, the tires being shredded.
Mm-hmm.
That's Kiss.
And it's one of those things you look at that board and the photo doesn't do it justice. There's a story being told everywhere you look at that in that board. It was really cool.
Yeah. All away. It's
so if I could for a second, so Armies on Parade has historically been Games Workshop 40K team tournament thing for the longest time. I don't know roughly what year that they brought in, the fantasy Age of Sigmar portion. Make it all Games Workshop entries are allowed, and it's something that they specifically showcase for. It's got to be a display board for one of the team tournaments that's being run. That's one of the rules. In 2022,
I think it was
2 years ago. Yeah, 2022 was the first time a non-Games Workshop game was highlighted, and that was again Corey and David from Pittsburgh that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. With they had they called it the Pit.
Bikers.
Specifically, it was a whole biker gang coming down the road, and it was awesome. And they had matching cuts with the symbols on the back, and said the pit and all. It was awesome. So not only did they break new ground with that 2 years ago, but last year again, Corey and David repeated specifically with they had, I believe it was the combined military orders and combined army display board in this chapel, complete with a brochure, a whole story. You could click the QR code and it gave it was, again, they went all in on that piece. This year, and this is one of my highlights when we get to highlights, since Will, you already brought this part up, 2 Infinity teams made it in. So Team Malort, and
Scarlet Revenge.
Scarlet Revenge, and unfortunately, this picture over here doesn't tell you the story here, but they truly showed, and there's a lot more models behind the building here, but the piece on this was the juxtaposition between nature and technology. Like,
isn't this also from one of the novels? Wasn't
yes.
Yeah, this is like a scene from one of the Infinity novels that have come out. It's again, there's some pretty deep cuts in there. Like, hey, we're going to recreate this.
Yeah, specifically. So it's nature versus the technology. So you've got Ariadne, which is in essence the nature-driven faction in Infinity, plus Aleph in the middle, which is technology. The embodiment of technology. It's AI. So it was just this awesome juxtaposition and this whole story they had over here, which was it was just great.
They're great boards. So, all right, well,
this is from the other Pittsburgh team.
Yeah, Pittsburgh representing. All right, well, that's enough about Infinity. Matt, what did you do on Friday?
So Friday, I spent most of the day over at the Hyatt in the Historics Hall. In the morning,
was with them too.
Played a game.
Wait, Adepticon Studio.
Adepticon? We just call it the Historics area.
The Historics area.
With our
in the morning, I played a game of Sharp Practice, which, for those of you that aren't familiar, it's black powder, age, that kind of stuff. The game was themed French and Indian War. Jason and Steven, who Steven's was our tag along this year. It was great. They were both playing it as well. And so I ended up commanding French army with another gentleman, and then Jason and Steven and another gentleman were the British. The highlight of the game was, if you can see it in this picture, there was a bear that randomly came out of the woods and attacked Jason's British Rangers and Steven's natives, and it was great.
It was definitely the focal point of the game. It didn't matter who was going to win. Whoever shot the bear was the winner.
Bear.
It was a random event.
It was essentially yes. It was a random event in the game. And the game, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he was super excited.
Yeah, because he never got the bear to come out in any of his playtesting. And it came out right next to
right away. It was like, hey, the British, we're going to go this way. And you just hear, it's Le Bear. It's Le Bear. Le Bear. Le Bear.
It's Le Bear. We deemed it a French bear because it only attacked the British.
It was a French bear. What was the scenario again, Matt? What were you trying to do?
So it was, they called it Save the Gray Hair's Daughters. And basically it was kind of a take on Last of the Mohicans. The French had the 2 sisters captive, and they were trying to get them across the board, and the British were trying to rescue them. We were able, as the French, we had a choice of putting them in the wagon or hiding them with another unit, which the other French commander and we hid them with the other unit. And it worked out perfectly. I mean, there's a couple of pictures here. Basically, the British played right into our hands. That's my French grenadiers unloading on Jason's British Rangers and just demolished them. So yeah.
Yes. There's our friend Steven really thinking how he's going to kill the bear.
Yeah.
All he's literally thinking of is like, how am I going to kill this bear?
At that point, no, I think at that point it was frustrations about the fact that he just charged the Canadian or the French Canadian militia twice with two big groups of natives, and both times he lost and got driven off. And
his charging was really.
It was a good game.
Evidently.
Yeah, his charges were terrible.
Yeah, the English we lost. And evidently, that's maybe like the first time the English have ever lost. I blame the bear personally. Because it was one of those things where you shot the bear.
Brilliant commanding on the.
You shot the bear, and then you're like, "Oh, I did a wound a bear." Most of the time, you're like, "I'm going to shoot a bear. It's going to die." All right, you did one wound, and he has 3 shock on it. I'm like, do we know how many wounds this bear has? Like, nope. And I'm like, oh, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons now. I have no idea how much HP the dragon has. It took us.
Yeah.
I think it ended up with 4 wounds, and it took us like 2 rounds, 2 or 3 rounds to kill the damn thing. Well, when you're shooting a bear, you're not shooting the other things.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Yeah, it was awful.
It was a good game. Everybody had a blast with it. It's a set of 2 Fat Lardies rules, which we've played What a Cowboy of theirs. Excuse me, on our channel before. A lot of their rules. They're meant to give you the flavor of or the feel of the era that you're playing, without making it overly complex. There's a lot of it has some random dice mechanics in it, which some people don't like. I personally really enjoy it because it makes it feel like random stuff happening on the battlefield. Of oh crap, I didn't expect that. You know,
they're more games designed around like a scenario. It's not like I'm gonna run up with my British and fight your French. It's here's a design game. We're gonna play this.
It's not a tournament game. It's totally a campaign. It's built to be playing scenarios and making up your own fun, bringing out bears and having them eat. One of Steven's Native Americans did die to the bear, eaten by a bear. Well, we eventually killed the bear, but it was good fun. And the gentleman that ran it he was having a blast. Now he saw his vision come out and play for him, and they enjoyed it. I was super.
Yeah, he had said that up until that game, he wasn't even sure if it was going to run right because every time they played it, the French just got steamrolled and it just didn't work, and so he was really excited to see it actually work. But
nice.
Yeah, it was. So that's what we did in the morning.
That was Friday. This is actually Saturday, but
well, that's a picture that I took on Friday.
We didn't get any pictures. We didn't get any pictures of church, did we?
I did actually. They're coming. They're in
okay.
Group
they're not.
This is a little preview of what I got to do on Saturday. That is the.
So one of the things that we'll talk about later, though, with some of the highlights, was that a lot of the people that just stay at the main hall and never go over to the Historics Hall really miss out on seeing some incredible terrain boards. I mean, just beautifully done with amazing looking terrain, and then you get to play the Historics on it, and it's like, oh my god, this is just ridiculous. But yeah, they ran a couple of games on Saturday or on Friday with this bolt action, and then Saturday they ran Chain of Command on it, and it was pretty good.
So Pickett's Charge.
Yeah.
Yep, so Pickett's Charge is next.
In the afternoon, yeah, that's okay. In the afternoon, we played Pickett's Charge, which again, it's another 2 Fat Lardies game. There it is. The scenario that we played was the Peach Orchard. And Steven, our friend, and I were running the Union Army. Jason and
I don't remember the
we're running the Confederates. It was very flavorful. It felt very Civil War. We had a good time, but at the same time, I think that was the one we decided out of all of the ones we played was kind of our least favorite. But it was beautiful. It's a beautiful table.
It was just the vast amount of models on that board.
Yeah,
it's just daunting.
Insane. My friend Ed runs Historics and stuff. He does pretty much all the Two Fat Lardy stuff at Adepticon. Anyway, he brings his armies, and they are just beautifully painted. And the nice thing is with those events, you're not bringing your army. You sign up, and all the materials are provided. And they run those games. That's an overview of the whole board. You can kind of see. When they run those games, the nice thing is that they design their scenarios for if you've never played that game or if you have very little experience.
Which happens more often than I found.
Happened to me on Saturday.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very accessible. So it's something that if you're thinking of coming to Adepticon and you're looking for something different to do, check that out because they do some really cool stuff. But that was our Friday afternoon. Then Friday night, we came back over to the main hall and spent the rest of the night hanging out. Making fun of Scott because he was,
I think we called it an early night for Scott that night.
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
That was, I think we went to Fat Rosie's. That was Friday. Friday was tough.
Yes. Oh, that's
Fat
right.
Rosie's. Rob and I ate at the hotel.
We went to Fat Rosie's, and it's just a taco place. The funny thing about it was, as we were leaving, there was groups in the area that we were sitting that were having birthdays, and there was just a ton of them that were all having birthdays, and they would bring out trays of like birthday cakes, but everything had a sparkler like flare going on it. At one point, they brought out an airplane that had like 4 shots of tequila with a flare over it, and it's like,
wow.
Oh my god, that's going to catch something on fire.
And it did.
Sure enough, as we were leaving, Steven turns around and realizes that the piñatas that were hanging from the ceiling, one of them was on fire. And they were trying to put it out. And every time they would like start getting that one out, it would catch another one on fire.
It was comical.
Like, that made the whole night.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Sorry, I missed that
It's
part.
good food.
It is.
Yeah. Good.
One of my favorite places to go.
Yeah. It's good.
Let's jump to Saturday.
Saturday.
Well, we'll stick over the historical. I know we're on this. This was actually the afternoon. This is actually the first historic event that I signed up for. As soon as I saw it was on the... Everybody knows me that played World War Eastern Front type of person, German-Russian conflict. So as soon as I saw this board, I was like, I want to play on that. And I actually didn't see I knew the scenario was coming. I didn't know this board. Maybe a month out, and it was made by our good friend Ben Hansen, Matt and I actually met at Two Fat Lardy's days when we went in Wisconsin in August. And again, it was one of those things where we have another community that we're part of, new friends. Oh yeah, I remember you. That was such a good time. And so like it was really good to see those guys again and see this board that they created. I don't remember the full story, and I'll have to find it, and I will post the link in the comments once I do find it. Did this with because it wasn't just him, but total immersive experience.
Madison.
What's that?
I think all of them helped. They have a group in Madison.
Something dice. I'll have to look it up. I was not prepared to give them a shout out. So apologize for that, but I will get it in the comments.
Was it Disco dice?
It was Easy Dice or something like that. I can't remember. But I tell you, like we've played this game. I've played Bolt Action, and you play on your little. But like when you have an immersive experience like this, where you have the immense height of the grain bin that we were trying to. So everybody knows about Stalingrad. The Russians are trying to defend the grain bin from the Germans. It's basically the aspect of the scenario. Deployment was done already for us. We didn't have to do the phase of this. So the Germans were coming on the left side there, and the Russians had to hold the right side. So if we go to the next picture, we had 3 people on our team, and I ended up taking the T-34, and I ended up taking 2 SMG squads, so that I could let the other 2 gentlemen who had never played before kind of get a feel for their army and all that sort of stuff. So I ended up
something looks wrong with your T-34.
So that T-34 was already on the board.
Oh, okay.
That T-34 was already on the board. It was basically a piece of terrain. It did have 1 shot in it, but if anybody knows chain of command, it's on your deployment. It's very dice dependent. Yeah. Well, they had the first turn, and they were able to activate their Panzer, or they think they had a Stug 3. And the Stug 3 did kill the T-34 before I ever even got to activate him or do anything with him, which sucked because I was really excited, and it didn't matter. So, essentially, they're on the left.
Something with your game, though, was that in the morning they played...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Game, called Bag the Hun. And it's fighter planes.
Yeah.
And they did a scenario that was the Germans coming in to bomb this area to try to dislodge some of the defenders. And how that game ended was going to directly impact this game in the afternoon. Turns out that the Germans didn't make it.
They only got 2 bombers, 2 of the 8 bombers through. So it did not affect our Russian stronghold.
Because I was playing sharp practice, but I kept checking that game because I was cheering for the Germans to do a lot of damage because I knew that Moser was going to be playing the Russians in the afternoon.
That's mighty nice of you.
Yeah,
I know, it's great.
So we actually our first 2 rolls of Russia, the Germans came in pretty full force. They had some good rolls. I think our first roll we were able to get 1 unit on the board. Our second turn we had 0 units. So the game designers, as awesome as they were, was like, they're going to bring some units. This is going to be a really short game. So we deployed, and then we had some riflemen up top, and these are the Germans coming through the trench line. Very, very thematic. Chain of Command's a great thematic campaign type game. It worked really well. I mean, it would not be a good tournament game, but it works really awesome for this. Commanders are really... And I held my own, actually. If you go back to that before I had to go... so actually, you can kind of see in the back middle, there's the Panzer, or the Stug 3. That's back there. It's basically been shooting at. I have 2 2 anti-tank rifles prone on that crest of that rubble right there, and he was just shooting that, which I was really totally okay with him doing. Like, shoot those guys, don't shoot the SMG. But Germans laid down smoke here, so like they couldn't really come forward. I couldn't shoot them. So I was like. I was biding my time before I knew that tank was going to annihilate me, so I just decided, and it was getting to like the last hour of the game, so I only knew I had like another turn left. I'm like, I'm just going to rush them. So I ended up moving my SMGs, and that building there's actually a unit of riflemen, rifle squad, of German rifle squad with a, and like one of those 50 millimeter hand mortars, like guys, not the big ones, but the carry around. And unfortunately, I had a painting seminar at 6:30, and this is about 5:45. So I actually did that turn. We ended up ending the turn, which then clears all the smoke, which I was really sad about because I was like, well, I didn't have to move, but like, let's go have some fun. So I actually had to pass off the game, and they ended up playing for another like hour and a half. It was supposed to end at 6, and they played till 7.
Yeah,
because they're having such a good time.
They were having so much fun. They just kept going.
They just kept going. And from what I heard, it was a minor victory for the Germans. The right flank, which was not my flank, struggled a little bit, but the SMGs did a good job, and they ended up just dodging that German left, and the anti-tank rifles did end up immobilizing that Panzer 3, so once we got behind the building, it couldn't shoot at them anymore. But yeah, it was good fun. A lot of new players. I spent a decent amount of time helping people out, but that's the fun part of it. Yeah.
So while that game was going on, I had signed up for. There was another game of Chain of Command, which this one is different. That's Saturday morning. I don't actually have any pictures of it.
I think there's a picture of me.
Is there some? I don't know where it is. But the reason being that
actually, I
was signed up.
Yeah, that right there.
Steven and Will came over, and they had never played. And there was 2 other guys that had never played. And so what we ended up doing was I had Steven and Will running the Germans, and Ed, who was running the game, had the other 2 guys running the British. And so I helped run the game with Ed at that point. Which I thought it was a blast.
It was
talk more about it because he was the one that played it. I just sort of helped them with rules and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for sitting down and not knowing a game, and just being like, all right, this is what you do. It was a lot of fun. Steven and I, of course, playing the Germans, decided to ham it up a whole. Oh, it's yes, we show us our British, and just being silly as you should be one of these games. But it was interesting, like a lot of cool mechanics in terms of like a scout phase to try to determine your deployment angles, and it kind of moved itself along. So it's
definitely a scenario-driven game. It's not a tournament-style game.
Definitely scenario-driven.
The scenario that these guys were playing was actually from Arnhem, The Bridge Too Far. There you go.
Yeah, see, there I am, looking, going,
Steven. So Ed created this table based off of photographs of the actual battle. In fact, he pointed out this. If you've ever seen this video of the British troops running, paratroops running through the gate, it's that gate right there. And all that. So it was it's really cool. The other thing that was fun about this game was because both armies had been involved in conflict prior to this battle. You had to roll on these charts to see how beat up were your units and everything. And
that was a really interesting aspect of it. It's like, oh, I have this squad, and it's not running at full strength, and there's these kind of, it's different each time you play through because it's all depending on the dice that you roll and what you get. And then you get some, like, on a couple of dice, you get these extra points where you can buy some other units. And Steve and I, we decided to go with the flamethrower. So
why not?
I was really disappointed.
I mean, you should.
It almost worked out, and then it didn't. So as you do.
Again, it's 2 fat lardies, so it's a lot of dice rolls, and they had the perfect strategy. They were hammering. There was a unit in that yellow house in the center. They started hammering them with a heavy machine gun. That unit freaked out and started getting out of the house. So they rushed their flamethrower up to try to get up close and
well, yeah. So it's a unit of commandos in there trying to be pushed up by like a standard rifle squad. So we knew we weren't going to be able to do anything going in with that. So like, well, we need a flamethrower.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the flamethrower in its movement rolls rolled about 3 inches too short to get to where it needed to go so that it was in cover. So it's just standing out there, and another group came in and started shooting.
Yeah, and they interrupted and then got a double turn. So yeah, it just
my gosh, that was our Stalingrad game. Freaking the Germans had double turns all the time. Which
and that again with 2 fat lardies, you roll dice, and that sort of determines what you can, like, who can get orders and things like that. And there's a mechanic in there where if you roll 2 6s, you get another phase right after your first phase. And so those double turns can really be brutal.
Oh, they're rough. Yeah, if you don't like games that have a lot of randomness to it, 2 fat lardy games.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. It was silly. I mean, we were doing silly things. So, but we had a good time.
Yeah. And that there on the right, that's Ed. He's the one I was talking about that had all the cool stuff. But
he's my hero.
So I have a couple things for Saturday.
So
go ahead. Oh yeah, you had another game to do, right? The game that morning.
No, because that was Saturday morning.
Well, I have some stuff about Saturday morning too. So since we jumped to
let's go to that.
Okay, so a couple of things Saturday morning I got to do. So if at all, I got to spend maybe about 30 minutes before the hall opened with guys from War Scenery. So if you walked through any of like the Legion tables, all of the Lethal building, or the really cool looking Outer Rim terrain, it's a lot of their STLs. Like down talk, I think his name was Patrick, and just like sit and chat about 3D printing for like 30 minutes with my sister. They're kind of going, "Wow, you guys are really nerding out about this stuff." That's even. But ended up they had a really good deal at the con, like $50 for like $200 worth of STLs. So Sarah is getting a Lothal table thing out in Omaha. So and that's been getting to talk to him in his process of talking about printers. I could go on and on about.
But then also that's appropriate because Omaha's the outer rim of the Midwest anyway.
Well, but that just goes back to show you, like at this convention, there is everything miniatures related, and if it like Will is totally into 3D printing, you really are gonna run into people that know that part of the hobby really, really well and can help you with questions you've been running.
The first I've heard it, so that's cool. I didn't know that. I got to talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, it was just happenstance. Like we had walked by it on like Thursday when we were going around. I'm like, oh, that's cool, Sarah. Like, she was like, well, maybe I'll buy one of the buildings and stuff like that. I'm like, well, I know these guys sell STLs. We can look at that. I just like found a really good deal. $50.
So they had buildings for sale, right?
Yes, right there. I think it was a different company, but they were all sharing the same booth who had printed them. But like,
I think my wife actually picked up a couple of their buildings for me.
They're. I like his work. I've gotten through 2 of the Lothal buildings.
Wow.
So, and then also on Saturday, I finally got to sit down and do Warcrow. War game. And that was, I think, talking about it pairs well with what we just talked about, because I think it's going to be one of those fun, narrative-driven games where you could come up with a lot of interesting scenarios, shenanigans that you do that just kind of catch the players off guard. So I don't know if it's ever going to get to like a tournament.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Starting out, they'll have like 2 factions, or if they get the cards out, and if you back the Kickstarter, or so it's a quote 4. But we're
talking about Warcrow.
Yeah, we're gonna end with Warcrow, so get into all that good.
Yeah, so I mean, I got to demo that day, and that started a lot of thoughts on things. So that was my Saturday morning. Other than making sure Scott was okay. Taking care of the cripple.
How'd the satellite tournament go?
I was going to say, before we jump back to a little bit more of Matt, because I know we played Vietnam stuff, and we can show that here in a second.
Oh, yeah.
I was running the Infinity ITS satellite. We started with 57 players, which was fantastic. We had room for 64. We had a couple last-minute drops, because I think at one point we actually did have a full 64 registered. It actually ran pretty smoothly. It had a great bunch of guys volunteering and helping make sure things ran pretty smoothly, which was really good. So I really don't have a heck of a lot to say about Saturday, other than just it's a great bunch of volunteers pitching in, great community. Again, making sure I didn't have to move too much, which was the good part, because we had thankfully we borrowed a like a back brace that you can like you're supposed to wear when you're lifting things. Because Jay and Sarah had that at the Warsaw booth, and we bought some ice packs so you could crack open, and I was icing and Advilling and sitting as much as possible. So that was my Saturday.
Yeah.
Let me go back to, was it this one? Yep.
Yeah. Well, it just went away.
Well, it was. There we go.
It was that one. So I got to play it was Chain of Command, but it's a set of rules that it's kind of homebrew. There's a guy that made a version of it for Vietnam conflict, and so I got to play that in the morning on Saturday, and it was a historical scenario. The Viet Cong came in, broke in at night and started blowing up bunkers, and there's gun pits there. And in this photo, I had actually had to get my gun crews to get to the guns to start, and then they had to ready the guns and everything. And I had happened to get my guns ready to fire just as he had a group of engineers that were about to blow up one of my other gun pits, which they did. And so I lowered my guns and fired on them. It was a lot of fun. The same scenario they ran at the Lardy's Historic Day in Madison that Jason was at with me. My son played it then, and he was on the Vietnamese side. So he wanted to compare how things went, and I got my butt whooped. I was playing the Americans, and by the end of the game, they had blown. Oh, there was like 4 bunkers and 1 gun that they had blown up, and it was just I couldn't stop them. It was interesting. It was a lot of fun. The rules were, like I said, it was Chain of Command, so it still felt very Chain of Command. I knew how to play it, but the guy that did them really did a good job, and I believe they're available on the Facebook page. It's just a Chain of Command Facebook page and they were just free to download. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Not an era that you see played very often, and I think there's not a lot of rule sets for it, so it worked out pretty good. It was those yellow lines you can see that because it was a night fight. Anytime you would open fire, your muzzle flashes were visible, and so then people could shoot back at you. Otherwise, you could only see 12 inches.
That's a really interesting rule, because I was going to ask what that yellow was, and I like that rule a lot, actually.
Yeah, so a lot of times there were, you couldn't shoot anything unless something happened to fire. In the center there there's a square bunker that's blown up. You can see a group of, nope, that one. There's a group of soldiers there that have a muzzle flash. They were doing such a good job of coming and blowing stuff up that finally I was like, I have got to get over there and get them out of there. I charged them with my group of Americans there. Not the smartest thing to do. I ran into a group of Vietnamese that were the engineers who happened to be elite troops. I won the fight, but I think I came out of the fight with like 3 guys alive. It was bad. But yeah, it was a good game. It was a lot of fun. And that was Ed's son Liam ran that, and it was another one of those. Thanks to those guys for running a great game.
Nice.
But
I think that takes us to Sunday.
It does.
Yeah.
Matt, I don't know does anybody have anything for Sunday other than
Steven and I
finished up the satellite. So Saturday was 3 games of the satellite, and then Sunday was the last 2 games of the satellite. I think we finished with 50 players total out of that 57. And we packed up and somehow crammed everything into my car, because for the second year in a row, I completely forget that I take 2 trips to the convention, one with all the tables on Wednesday, and then on Thursday I take the TO box, my computer, my printer, all the extra things. But I take 1 trip back home, so putting all of that into my car, it's like there's no extra room
you give that
at
much
all.
stuff away.
I need to start doing
every
that.
year you give that
Hey, at least your car was running.
Oh, I forgot. We forgot that part of the extra bit of chaos. Friday night.
Yeah.
That's the part we forgot, Will. Friday night. Because you dropped me off at the ER and got back to the convention center, and your sister picked me up at the ER and brought me to the convention center. When we went to leave Friday night, my car wouldn't start. So we all came back in your sister's car
Yep.
And then did the same thing back to the convention center bright and early on Saturday morning. That's why we were all there that much earlier.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we didn't get your
Sunday
car.
morning.
Yeah.
Sunday morning, thankfully, we were able to hand over the satellite for the first round to Clay, who was not only did he run the 3-night fight, so he was up late Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, but he was actually there bright and early Sunday morning to help run at least the first round of the satellite, while Will and I ran to AutoZone, got me a new battery because the one that was dead was only 9-10 weeks old, replaced it in the parking lot, got the car up and running, because at least Jason, 2+ hours of your day on Saturday was spent with AAA getting it jumped, and then of course it died before we could leave Saturday, so that's why we had to do the full replacement. So huge, massive thank you to all of you guys, and Sarah, and
when it rains, it pours.
So I could not have survived any of it without you guys and the larger community of not just Infinity, but all of Adepticon, just everybody. So yeah, that was my Sunday, and then I supervised at the Corvus Belly booth, literally using my cane, pointing to Chavot, pick that up, move it over there, and it was lots of fun. So that was my Sunday.
Yeah, Moser, when did you guys play the Blood and Plunder? There?
We played Sunday late morning, like 11 o'clock.
Okay.
I got my demo. I got my Warcrow demo in Saturday, I think. Saturday morning before I went and stopped. Fortunately, I didn't get to finish it because I had to go jump a car. So he owes me a full demo.
Thanks. Oh, Warcrow?
Yeah.
Done.
No problem.
Yeah,
they're done.
I didn't get a demo the whole.
But
every time I went up to the booth, they were too busy. I never got a demo of it.
So. I will run a demo for both of you guys. I'll run a demo for both of you guys.
So
at the Iowa incident,
Steve and I did get our demo of Blood and Plunder in, which was actually better than the one I had last year, because the one I did with the creator last year, Matt and I did it, was on chips, and it's a good probably for selling point for the starter pack, but probably not a good way to intro like the mechanics. So we were able to get, we were able to rally one of the tournament guys. Actually, David, me and Steven, we all three of us played, and we had another gentleman was kind of sitting. It's just another fun thematic. I mean, it's got a. It's a fun game. I fully enjoy it. It's gonna have a good narrative. There's a lot of history to it. In fact, if you read the starter book, like the first pages are history and lore of that era of time. So
they got a guy that helped them create the game that has, if I remember right, he has a PhD in that era and that stuff.
Oh wow,
so that's why he.
Yeah. So it was very. I saw a little bit of the.
Accurate.
I know they did a team tournament as well at some point in time, and everybody's like done up. They got their pirate hats on, that cool stuff.
Yes,
and, I think it's going to be another historic type game. I'm glad they got their portion moved over because they got a lot of press them being in the main hall rather than part this year. From what I saw, it's very thematic. It's very that era. Yeah, some good fun little mechanics. It kind of has has an initiative system somewhat similar to, I would say, as far as the card mechanics go. Like Legion, not necessarily the keywords, but like just the tips on the card, kind of tell you what dice first. So there's no randomness of dice in that way. It's based on the cards you have. But no, it was super fun. There was an awesome deal. He was $50 off the starter pack. So Pat and I got split a starter pack last year, and then that deal is up. It's like, guess what, man? I'm going to buy this one. So we all have. We have all got them. I think I'm going Pirates. I think I was talking to Steven yesterday, Matt, but I think I'm going to go either. I'm going to either go Dutch or I'm going to go the Spaniards.
Yeah, that's a good.
I think the Spaniards look.
I've got
fun.
the English.
And if you've seen you've seen the episode. Everybody's seen season 2 of What If yet?
No.
Okay. There's an episode, like episode 5, that has a little bit of a spoiler, not really, but literally has no superheroes in it. But it has a very Native American Spanish that time period. And it was the evil villain part of that episode were Spaniards, like the Christopher Columbus area. I was like, oh, I'll go Spaniards. That's kind of what drove that guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and I will definitely be paying. I haven't read a single thing. I haven't rolled a die on it. I still bought it blindly because you guys have talked so much about it. I have to go Pirates because of my tattoo. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
no, it's fun.
Again, that's something I'm hoping we can get up on our channel more of this coming.
It'll come. I think we all have it.
And I tell people
Steven's all in on it.
Learn the game. This is for you. This
you can play our stuff.
When you learn the game, learn it without the ships. Learn the ground game and all of that. Then add the ships because it'll make a whole lot more sense to you.
Oh, it was fun.
You can do that.
It's like What a Cowboy. What a Cowboy's a blast too.
Yes, yes, it is.
We did get a game in.
Get a game in. My wife and Matt's wife came and got him to sit down and they played a little What a Cowboy and it was. We won't go into too much of that, but there's a lot of bloodshed. Let's put it that way. And
yep, and it was mostly between the two wives.
And now we have it was. They were shooting each other. Pretty awesome.
Shooting each other.
That's pretty funny. Unfortunately, I had to tap out early that night due to the
you had to tap out earlier.
Pain, the pain, and the just the emotional drain of running everything. Do we want to talk? Kind of wrap up Sunday. Anybody have anything else? Otherwise, let's move on to like vendor hall. If there's anything specific.
No, the only other thing that we did on Sunday was the BattleTech pods.
Oh yeah.
We talked to the guys that brought them. One of the things they told us to make sure we did was let the people that like Adepticon people know and things that how much we enjoyed that, so that they can maybe try to get them more space in the future.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a completely like separate company. I had no idea.
Yeah. I overheard them like
they were brought in by the BattleTech people because it was their 30th anniversary. But they
30 or 40? Isn't it 40?
They said 30th, but I don't.
They
did say that they were popular enough. They think they're going to have them back in the future. So
for those who aren't aware, these are the old, like the actual BattleTech pods that they used to have. I think
like in the 90s.
Gen Con. They're at Gen Con for.
They were at Gen Con for so long. I think they were here in Chicago at North Pier.
I think
at the North Pier Mall for the longest time.
I think the guys who own them are out of like Michigan. I think now. No, it's they're Midwest.
Yeah. Well, this set they were. I think they said they were from Michigan. They bought a bunch of them. They've refurbished them. They've put in some new hardware, a bunch of stuff. They're actually working with some of the software developers to try to integrate, like I think MechWarrior Online and MechWarrior the new like 4.
Well, MechWarrior 5 and MechWarrior essentially by the same. It's essentially a coding thing. Who's gonna? Are they gonna give us their code, or are they gonna we gonna give them our code?
It was. I mean, for being free for having your badge, it was a lot of fun. You just jumped in line and went in and murdered stuff. If anything that I wanted out of it, I wanted actual experience.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping I can play.
They had a lot of their settings
next time.
It was fun.
I definitely want to play them next time. I've never ever been in one. Of all the years I've been to Gen Con, back when I was in Milwaukee, and the few times I've seen them in Indy, thanks to again the Chaos Gods, I wasn't gonna be able to sit in the pod and get out of the pod. So hopefully next time. Hopefully they'll be back. I think I've got one last set.
That should wrap up Sunday.
Yep.
I had one last set here. Here. Swag. We were talking about the swag. Kind of the vendor hall and just the hall in general. I picked up a whole bunch of Corvus Belly stuff, including all the new things. We mentioned earlier about that Clash of Steel piece from the swag bags. I was able to make a deal and pick up another one from somebody else. I bought Team Zed Shell Game, which is from Wing to Star Publishing, written by Craig Gallant. He was actually there in the booth, so he signed it for me. I picked up some BattleTech Team Merrick stuff here, so that's going to be my Inner Sphere faction to go along with my Razelhag Dominion Clanner. I stopped at Big Child Games, picked up their Adam Smart paints. This really nice miniature 35 millimeter Sir Lancelot du Lac. This bust, so I'm gonna try my hand at bust painting of John Hancock, which is super cool. He's got a cybernetic arm and a little bird on his finger. Again, it's that juxtaposition again of nature and technology and things like that. This no name airbrush, which is actually a battery powered cordless air compressor. So I will definitely let everybody know how that goes afterwards once I try it.
I'm interested to see how that works for you.
I mean, it was $80, so I'm like, yeah, let's try this. Absolutely, let's try this. So yeah, this is a mix of. Yep, my Blend Blender box. So this was a mix between swag bag and things I purchased and items like that. And then, yeah, so this is part of the stuff that was in the swag bag, and I made a trade again for the second one. My Adepticon 2024, and then the Celebration of Life for Kathy that her sister made. And I bought that along with, there was also, you can kind of see these brushes here in the middle. They are specifically Jim Wapple branded brushes from Lethal Shadow Games, along with some replacement tips in there. So I got those as well.
Very cool.
So, lots of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody else picked up some stuff. I know Matt. I think you picked up.
I can talk about what I picked up. I'm super excited.
I don't think I have any pictures. Sorry.
I bought. That's okay. I bought all in on Carnivale. I've been looking at that game by TT Combat for years. And finally this year I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm pulling the trigger. The two player starter box is really good. It's a good deal. I bought some extra stuff on top of that. My son, I was showing it to him before Adepticon and asked him, hey, are any of these armies something that you find that you might want to play? Sure enough, he picked one of the two that was in the starter box. So I was like, save me a little money. But it's Lovecraftian Venice around 1790s, kind of the Assassin's Creed feel to it. You're running, you're jumping on buildings, you're parkouring around, you're fighting near the canals and drowning. Yeah, that's all the stuff I got for that. His faction is a bunch of monsters that come out of the sea, and they like to grab people and pull them into the canals and drown them and stuff. So yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. A lot of people that have played it really, really like it. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, that's something I'm hoping we can get on the channel. There's not a lot of content for it out. I also picked up just some other random stuff. I got some British Highlanders for my French Indian War stuff, and then I picked up an extra box of Blood and Plunder soldiers so that I can build up an English army. But yeah. Nice. Oh, Game Envy. That was the other one. So the first year I went to Adepticon, I saw this like miniatures holder for painting, and it was made by Game Envy, and I didn't get it. And I have said every single year I've been back, I'm gonna get it this year, and never did. And this year I went up to their booth. I said, I want give me the whole set. I want all of that. Bought that, and then I was walking away, and my friend Steven was looking at. They have a collapsible like painting cup that you can put your water in, and there's like this rubber thing in the bottom that when you clean your brushes out, it kind of scrubs your brushes a little bit. I saw that, he was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. As soon as I saw it, I turned right back around and was like, nope, I got to get that too. So yeah, they do cool stuff. I think Moser, you have their like hobby light and all that.
I bought the hobby light. There's one portion of it I wish the neck doesn't bend. I actually went and talked to the guy. Like, Love your light. It's awesome. Like $90 I mean, it's not a cheap light. The first thing I was like, there's one thing I wish it did. And he goes, neck bend, huh? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, we've heard all about it. And like, it's gonna be version 2. And I'm like, well, I just bought version 1 a month ago. Like, it's like, don't worry, it's got like a year and a half out before version 2. Okay, so version 2 comes out. No, they got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they
check out
they had these little corner like they were copper. They were like a copper washer that were designed in a corner thing that you can put in your wet palette that kind of hold the paper down and keep it from curling up on the edges.
It also keeps
because it's
molding.
copper. Yeah, because it's copper, it actually like cuts, like helps prevent the mold.
I bought 4. I came home with 2. I've lost 2 on my somehow. I did. I bought 4. $10. I put them in my pocket, and then when I got home, I was like, "Oh, there's only 2 in there," so they fell out of my pocket. And so bought 4. Came home with 2.
Oh, that's too bad.
Because you can get by with 2. You don't have to.
No, I like they're just these super simple things that I can't believe nobody came up with that before. But it was like I saw them and I'm like, those are brilliant. But yeah. That was, I mean...
I bought one thing for myself at Adepticon.
Hey, good job. What'd you get?
Files?
What? I bought Clash of Kings 24.
Yeah! The game
Kings of War.
The game thing we've been talking about for like 4 years and never played.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't...
That came in the swag bag too, but I was like, this is not the scale you were wanting us to play. It's like 4 times bigger.
Oh, the Kings of War or what?
Yeah,
Kings of War. Yeah,
Kings of War is your Magic's rank and flank, and every year they have like an update that comes out that they go back, they tweak some units, stuff like that, and expands the narrative. So like I bought they redid their main rule book a couple last or the year before. So it's their big red book. Then this year, 2024, I'm like, oh well, I'm just gonna get it. It was like $25. Like, let me just keep up on these rules that I'll never play.
We have hopes.
Yeah. Oh no! There's chances now.
There's chances.
That's moving to Cedar Rapids.
Yeah,
so there's actually we have one extra person. Scott will come and they'll all be together.
But I also I bought the boys some stuffed urban mechs. So I bought stuff for other people and not myself.
Nice.
We're in dad mode now.
Well, let's get on to, I think the last thing that we want to talk about here is Warcrow.
Yes.
Yes, last thing.
We're just going to hit some real quick highlights here on this. Corvus Belly did fully put out on their YouTube channel a Whispers of Lindworm with far more information and more detail that Hoopu specifically goes into here. But the seminar that we had on Thursday night at Adepticon is where Hoopu revealed this is the art from the box. It will be releasing at Gen Con, she said. So the pre-order is from July 15th through August 4th.
Oh yeah.
And it has all of this terrain, this mat. This isn't the full standard game size mat. So this is a slightly smaller. The full game size, she did confirm, is 3 foot by 3 foot. This one's a little bit smaller to go with the narrative scenarios that will come in this pack. And the armies are these two: the northern tribes on the left and the hegemony of Embersig on the right. We talked about.
Embersig.
I'm sure we don't have anybody with real feelings here on either side. But if you did do the demo at Adepticon, one of the bucklermen up here on the right side was actually given out.
Yes, put it together the other day,
demo. And it's beautiful. It's thermoplastic. It looks fantastic.
They've really come a long way with their Siocast. Like just how well they've gotten accustomed to it and able to really kind of like that Buckerman is gorgeous. Or you pick it up and like, oh, it really does. Like it's coming close to that level of the quality of the metal.
I don't know if I understand if I understand correctly, it's a Siocast machine, but Corvus Belli has actually been working with and testing and playing out their own actual mixture of the thermoplastic.
As they,
yeah.
I
think that's come a long way. I agree.
Come so long. I remember seeing some of the first Infinity Siocast stuff, and as with any new technology or new processors, there's a lot of learning and growing with it. So but it's maybe 3 years since they've started doing Siocast in general. They got that first machine.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I think it was the Vostok was the first one.
They've come a long way. So, and picked up a miniature up off the table and oh, this looks like a Corvus Belli, but it's plastic, light. It's not that heavy that.
Yeah. Gosh, those orcs. I don't know what you would call
orcs. They're orcs.
These specifically are orcs. So the northern tribes
Did you imagine those in metal? How heavy those would be?
That would be.
They'd feel great.
Chunk.
You'd be able to put Alborg in a sock and use it as an assault weapon.
Do you have more pictures or
I do.
They're coming because I took a couple pictures of the demo I played.
Yeah, and I've got those at the very end here. So Hoopu also mentioned that there will be a rule book that contains the universe lore and the game rules, which the cover looks awesome. This is Cuddles. This is the Morn map, who I have named Cuddles. The rules will be available online, and I think I remember her saying that the rule book will be available during the pre-order period.
I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure
they were trying to get it out at that time because they wanted people to be able to have the rules and know how to play come Gen Con.
Right, and not just that, but also have insight into the game so that you're not just buying blindly, which I think is a fantastic approach.
Yeah.
So this is the pre-order bundle where it's going to come with the Winds from the North, the book, and then whatever that free limited edition mini is, and I can't wait to see it.
Mm-hmm.
She did mention that there was going to be releases every month. So Battle Pass
they've already August. They've already got them lined up.
Yeah, all of it's lined up. She did say this is the next one, Beyond Winds from the North.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Oh yeah.
These
guys.
So this is 3 extra. So
Upper Dwarf.
Folks that obviously like us that have played Infinity are familiar with. Here's the Operations box, and here's the Beyond Operations box. It's a very similar, if not the exact same thing here. Where on the left you've got finally we're seeing Varank in for the first time. So Northern tribes are an alliance between Varank and orcs, and these are Varank, the blue-skinned creatures here. You've got the Skin Changers.
Yes, correct.
Here, as well as Njord, who is a Herser, which is a leader amongst the Varank.
And he's a named character.
Yeah, I think he's the Varank leader. It's like the two guys of the Alliance, the Orc leader from the break the box, and then this is the Varank leader.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the hegemony. Is you've got those dwarves
pioneers. Yep, those are the Ghent dwarves. They're pioneers.
Character.
Correct, and that is Lady Talia.
Yeah,
he is the only human that is allowed to live amongst the dwarves because she was raised as one from an early age. I believe Poo said in the video.
Yeah, I think you said she's the only one to be in that unit.
Yeah, she's the only. From what I understand,
allowed to be. Yeah,
she's the only human allowed to join a dwarf unit.
Yep.
Because of that, it's not just
there's part of the
mechanic. They're adding the narrative and the story of the world into the game mechanics, which I think is awesome.
Yep.
So I think she said this will be the first release after the box.
Yes.
That sculpt is awesome.
These are where the demos can be played up to throughout this year, and Gen Con is when you can pick it up. And this is part of the demo. This was the demo board that they debuted at Gen Con last year.
Yeah, it's a beautiful board.
It's a gorgeous looking board. This is the first time I think they've actually had the true production cards,
Mm-hmm.
along with they had copies of the actual production box
Mm-hmm.
and terrain on hand. So there was 2 different demo boards going on at the booth.
This was the fancy one. Had the actual demo at the other table.
Yeah, I played on the one with the cardstock.
Actually, from what I heard, the other table played better, but this one looked really good.
It was bigger, so I think that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. But it's a demo, so.
You want to get stuff in and dirty and get your cross.
Yeah. And build the excitement.
Yeah.
So I can definitely emphatically say we will have a lot more of this on the channel going forward.
Yep.
Yes. I think.
Yeah, this is the thing I said before that when they announced it, I was kind of like, eh. And then the more that I see and the more that I'm talking to you guys and more everything else, I'm like, eh.
So
yeah.
I can say a little bit. I mean, like I played half the demo because I had to jump a car. Well, I know played the whole thing.
I played the whole demo, yeah.
I mean, to me, it felt like they took some. I mean, just like any good game or any game developed, they took some mechanics of the game. Is it a bad thing? I mean, it actually. I liked some of the made. Like it's the objective that we played is you had to hold within, and you had to be like in contact with one stride. That's a very MCP objective. Which I think, but it's a good mechanic. Okay, cool. That helped me. Oh, I kind of know what's. That helps a little bit. The dice are fun.
Yeah,
the switches are fun.
I played this with my sister. My sister is a Legion player, and she sat down. She's like, "Oh, I know these bones, these things. It feels like this," and then she was used to it, so she was able to.
Well, the unit placement was very much had a Legion feel.
Yeah.
Where you have your unit, your leader, basically have.
But it speeds play up. I mean, it makes like we cruised through our demo.
I think from when I was talking to some of the Infinity people, it's going to take some unlearning some of them to get it. Especially, I think ones that haven't played Aristea. I think if you played Aristea, you kind of have an idea because it has like 8-sided dice.
Aristea is 6-sided,
but
it's still symbol.
It's not it's a simple game. It's not a 20.
Yeah, it's not a 20, and it's not. It's
I don't remember, Matt. We were talking to somebody who was like, like he didn't understand like the range tool. Like stride was how long is 3 strides? We were talking that night. That's what it was. I think it was.
It's just 3 strides. It's whatever is on the measure.
Right, which is like I don't know 2 inches or whatever the heck it is, but. Just like a little bit of backlash, like I'm used to a ruler and knowing how many, 4 millimeter, 4 millimeters is, or I know how much 3 inches is. I don't know what a stride is, but anybody who's played MCP or Legion or anything else, they're used to that. Yeah. If that makes sense. Have a predetermined measurement.
You'll get used to it.
Yeah.
Yes, coming up to it, you're not aware of what.
I love that it's a completely different game with completely different mechanics, own unique flair.
It's not just an Infinity reason.
The switch mechanics and how the dice work with that stuff is fun.
Yeah, it creates a lot more randomness to this because you're not guaranteed to get it, or you could have something like, I wasn't expecting to be able to do that, but there and behold, it does. And through my experience in the game, I think it's going to lead to, as I was saying before, a lot of really fun narrative things that can be done to it. Like the fact that they are going and releasing a narrative campaign in the box with try to tell a story. Like, the Infinity learn to plays if you go through like the Operation Ice Storm stuff. Like there's some story in there that you can kind of piece together, but it's like, here are your 3 troops, you're putting this, it sounds like this is more, again, it's a little bit of speculation, but here is here's a story that we're going to tell from it. And I think it just opens up a bunch more, especially when it maybe comes to Adepticon. seen the Infinity narrative be so successful. What fun stuff can we do this? Can we, play with Rain a bunch more? Can we mix? Can I fit a dragon on a table? Never know.
And honestly, that's if I had a preferred way to play, that's my.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the day, ITS tournaments were like, yeah, that's my thing. Now it's more like I want to have some fun. Narrative event, definitely.
There's nothing wrong with people that want to come and play a tournament style game. There's
nothing at all
wrong with that. That's great. There's also nothing wrong with people that want to come and just play the narrative of games. That's great. That's the beauty of Adepticon is that you've got it happening. You've got narrative games happening. You've got tournament style. You've got just everything. I'm looking forward to.
You have dead games being supported.
Yeah.
Like I can make 1.5. Like the Halo Ground Command, that is a dead game. It's still being supported. There are still people playing that at Adepticon every year. And then one of the few pictures I took this year was somebody playing Guild Ball. People are still playing Guild Ball in places.
My MVP game.
They are re-releasing all the rules and everything free with that. They've got all the units now available. You can download the cards and everything. They're making anymore.
No, they're releasing it to
they decided that they're going to support it.
Yeah, they were supposed I remember their initial press release. Sorry, we're getting a tangent here. It sounded like they were going to make all the STLs available, that you could print stuff. And so I was like, oh, well, you could get the STLs and you could support a community on your own. It's print on demand, which take it what you will on that. But, I mean, they've gone back, they've reworked a lot of the actual models to print better. So that's good.
Yeah.
And actually, the guy, one of my MCP guys I played is a Guild Ball player, and he actually gifted his designed Guild Ball mini. Everybody he played.
Oh wow!
It's a big Guild Ball, and I have it. It's in I totally forgot about it. It's in the office, but it was just like we got to talk a bit about. We go on.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on that.
Did we want to kind of wrap things up tonight with where we want to see this channel going, or what do you guys think?
I think everybody in this room we're all in on work. I know the guy in the top right corner.
I'm assuming that's me. I can't see the
screen. You are the top. You are the top right. You are the top right. Mr. Scott is all in on the Warcrow, and I think we're going to find.
Yep, I am completely all in on it.
I've been excited about it for a while now. Just waiting for it to kind of.
Yeah.
Again, I think there's some fun opportunities.
Well, and I think it's just we all like the storytelling aspect. We all kind of fell out of the tournament. We all used to play it tournament-wise. I'm still an MCP. But I enjoy the historical, enjoy the storytelling, enjoy the reenactment, and I enjoy the narrative of things. And if I was going to play Infinity again, the narrative or the team event would be the first before any cutthroat. Just the creativity that comes out of it, and now we have another game that we get to do another story on the show stuff. But I'm excited to paint. The artwork is really good, and I'm excited to see what the story unfolds.
Yeah, the lore, like during the seminar, we'll put up a world map, and there were just things that I'm like, what is that? What's that? Like, one half of the map, there's just arches.
And they're going back to their roots too, right? Like, they were going to start with.
Yes, but no. So Corvus Belli started.
Were they a historical miniature company?
They sculpted historical miniatures, if I remember correctly. Like I've got a small pack of some of the Roman soldiers. I think it was 15 millimeter.
15 or 10.
That they created, and then they did a whole line of fantasy miniatures. They were game agnostic. They were just Warcrow by Corvus Belli. I found a couple of those in blisters and things like that, and then they moved into sci-fi, and that's what became Infinity. And and speaking with Hoopu and like a bunch of other folks at Corvus Belli, they've been wanting to get back into fantasy for a really long time, because the main folks that started the company and are still there, they're mainly fantasy folks. Like that's their background. So the first couple little bit of it, apparently they started working on it, and then they kind of put it on the shelf for a while and worked on like Aristea and things like that, and now they've fully come right back to it, and taken lessons learned and things like that and grown it into what it is. So this is taking all of them back to their roots and kind of what started the company.
Yeah,
pretty exciting.
We're not even talking about Warcrow. We got 2 games essentially.
You got Warcrow Adventures
and the
Adventures and the War Game. Yeah. Yep. Awesome.
All right. Well,
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just want the viewers to know, like they briefly said, I'm moving to Cedar Rapids. Hopefully that means that I can get together with Jason and Will more frequently. We can get more content on video for you guys and get it out more regularly. Definitely have some ideas.
I've got some ideas brewing on how maybe we can support.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have a dedicated, nice gaming space, so maybe we can just set up a studio there. Get some stuff going.
It's something I was thinking of, and I've talked with Matt about it briefly. We were playing their reinforcements stuff. I would like to see some BattleTech.
Yep. So
like forced degradation stuff, and I think that would be a fun narrative aspect.
Yep. And we're all one of Cowboy Homers too. So.
Oh yeah.
Evidently, that's our beer and pretzels. Like,
apparently, everybody loves the Cowboy.
Everybody loves what a Cowboy, man. I know Steven just got a shipment in yesterday.
Oh, did he?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's got the rule book, and he bought a bunch of Cowboys. Yeah, he said that was his favorite thing he played.
We'll get Steven on here. Steven is our resident voice actor, right?
Yes.
We need voice
actor. Well, that was a good one, long one, but we had a lot to talk about. We haven't been on for a while, so
yeah,
appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
And talk to everybody soon.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.